Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Biz Apps with Blake. We are going to be talking about Copilot Studio today and all of the excitement coming off of the heels of Microsoft Ignite, which was, of course, this week. This is November 17th, 2023. Let's go ahead and get started. So, if you didn't hear, Power Virtual Agents was essentially rebranded as Copilot Studio and then injected with a ton of new features. The URL for Copilot Studio is simply copilotstudio.microsoft.com. And if you go there, you yourself can be set up with a trial and start playing around. I am doing this in my Power Platform developer environment. So make sure that you have one of those if you don't already, or some other development environment where you can safely test a lot of this stuff. So just like Power Virtual Agents, just like the Power Virtual Agent Maker portal, a lot has not changed. So up here in the upper right-hand corner, I can, of course, select my environment. Over here, under the gear, I have theming. I can get to the Power Platform Admin Center. You will see there is really nothing under settings right now. I would anticipate that changes, but we'll find out in the coming weeks and months. Under my question mark, I have my help file. So if I go to documentation from here, it's going to give me documentation on Copilot Studio. As of the time I am recording this video, a lot of it still refers to it as Power Virtual Agents. So I'm shying away from doing anything super bleeding edge until the documentation is cleaned up and some of this stuff matures in its preview. Again, a lot of this is stuff that was just released right now. So closing out of that and looking over here on the left-hand side of the screen, as you see, virtual agents simply renamed copilots. But soon we'll have the ability to do things like plugins, prompts, and models. Many of these features rather, based off of AI Builder. So if you're not already familiar with AI Builder, you may want to go back and look at some of my previous discussions I've had in videos, because AI Builder is super awesome. And there's lots of ways to get AI Builder credits, including buying some standalone or getting some embedded use rights for some AI Builder credits through things like Power Apps and Power Automate premium licenses. But today, what I want to show you is how easy it was for me to start authoring a Copilot based off of nothing else but a couple of URLs and some files. So if we want to see what that looks like, I'm going to click into Copilots, and I named my Copilot D365 Solutions, and you'll see why a little bit later on here in the demo. So I'm going to click into D365 Solutions, which is going to open up my design studio here. And as we see, I have my overview tab, and this is just like Power Virtual Agents where I can start to test this. And then I have some additional referring documentation over here. I have my topics. I included just the standard boilerplate topics. As you see, I have not authored any topics. This is your standard hello, goodbye, lesson 1, 2, 3. If you've ever done Power Virtual Agents in a day, you're very familiar with all of these topics. I have entities over here. Entities can basically be described as things that Copilot will understand for you. So things like age or country or region. And in having these entities, if you ask, or if Copilot asks you a question like, what is your age? It can store that as a string to be used later on in the discussion with your Copilot. You also have generative AI here, and this is where I did a lot of the heavy lifting. There's some great links in here about preview terms and supplemental terms and responsible AI at Microsoft. I do encourage you to click those links and view those pages. It can be extremely helpful knowledge to know as you start to progress in your Copilot knowledge. However, what we want to get into here is using some generative answers. And I'm going to show you a couple of websites I used for mine, as well as some documents. So under my generative answers, I have chosen a few websites, all of those pertaining to pricing. That way I can start to ask my Copilot about pricing. Further down, you have Copilot content moderation. By default, as you see, it is set at high, but I could set it to medium or low. What that allows it to do is obviously generate more or fewer answers with more or less relevance. So I'm going to stick with high right now. I'm not going to change a thing. And then I can also upload documents. So I've uploaded a couple of documents. Two of those are the licensing guides, one for Dynamics 365 and one for Power Platform. And then I also uploaded this Scale Business Operations Messaging and Positioning Framework, which is a document that kind of goes over some competitive comparisons for different D365 products and what some of those, again, competing products might be. And you'll see why once again as we continue on with the demo. So that's what I've done there. There's analytics, there's the ability to publish, and then there are also additional settings here, but I've used none of those. I've simply hit save and I have simply published my Copilot. As you see here, it's as simple as hitting publish and it is going to publish that latest content. But now let's get into the exciting stuff. Let's get into a demo showing you how I've done nothing but add files and links and started to build a Copilot. So here I am on the sort of test website that you can use when you build a Copilot. And again, I named mine D365 Solutions. And the reason why was the use case I was thinking of for my Copilot was for perhaps an MSP out there who's not very familiar with Dynamics 365 and needs to be able to ask a couple of sales, pricing, and licensing questions because in my role, those are all pretty common. So we're going to play the role of an MSP today who doesn't know a lot about Dynamics 365, and we're going to ask our Copilot some questions. As a caveat, you would want to gradually improve on this by manually authoring some topics. This is not necessarily 100% perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And as you'll see in this demo, it's not extremely fast, but it is helpful. And it's actually quite amazing for something I put 10 minutes of effort into. So let's start and ask our Copilot some questions. So I might start by saying, I need a Dynamics equivalent to Salesforce. And we'll see what our Copilot comes back with. All right. And so as we see here, it has told me there is an equivalent to Dynamics 365 or to Salesforce called D365 Sales. Wonderful. So maybe I ask a feature question on top of that. Can Dynamics 365 Sales track leads? Once again, we are looking for an answer here. And it's probably using the generative AI to scrub, I would assume, the licensing guide right now to find this answer. Yes, it can track leads. It includes that citation if I need it. Wonderful. Now we know we have an equivalent to Salesforce. It's called Dynamics 365 Sales. Can it track leads? Let's see if we can find out how we would license that. So once again, the prompt is simply, how do I license Dynamics 365 Sales? All right. So here we are given some options. Here's how we can license it. We have sales professional, sales enterprise, sales premium, relationship sales, and it says they are per user. Sales enterprise can also be licensed per device and some other caveats. Perfect. That's wonderful. I think my customer might want sales enterprise. So let's see here. How much does sales enterprise cost? Going to do a little more searching here for me. And we find out that Sales Enterprise costs $95 per user per month. And just like that, we have built, in less than the time it probably took me to record this video, we have built a pretty functional Copilot. So, having said that, once again, I encourage you to go to copilotstudio.microsoft.com, sign up for a trial, and test some of these AI features out for yourself. Get started building some sample Copilots. If you have any questions, please reach out. But that's really all I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to follow me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Blake Cheek. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care.